apparently. Alright, let's kick this off. As we have got... I guess this is almost a best of 7 series. It's kind of weird because it's a best of 7 series in the overall team league. I don't know how to do the scoreboard, actually. Maybe we'll just... because it's kind of a best of 7 in the team league, right? So, I guess it's kind of best of 7. But we will guarantee playing 6 maps, by the way. That is something that's guaranteed. 6 maps will happen no matter what. So, that's maybe worth keeping in mind for you guys. Just readjusting the logo size a little bit. Perfect. So, yeah, I actually don't know what to do about the score. We'll put best of 7 up for now. Let me know what you guys think. As we do have to the top left-hand side, our pink Protoss player is going to be Scarlett. It's just weird because players will play 2 maps against each other, right? So it's almost like you maybe want to know those scores. Huh. Stuff to know. Alright, well, either way, to the bottom right, top right-hand side, sorry, our red Zerg is RagnaroK here in game number 1 of the 2 games that they will play against each other for our very first, the inaugural match of the China Team Championship. Hatcheries dropping down on both sides of the map. I mean, it's year 0 to rush on this map is to be a little bit crazy, to go a little bit psycho. And, you know, it's a bit like their song, "Oh, there, sweet butter psycho." You know, that's what they're singing about the Zergs who try and 12 pool on this map, aka Bly. So, definitely just a bit too large to really go super aggressive on. And RagnaroK and Scarlett accepting that, going hatchery, gas and pool to get things rolling in the early stages. As we are going to be seeing a couple of drones coming up on each side of the map, and it really is just the first few minutes of a build-up here. Now, Newbee's team in general, they started picking up their StarCraft 2 players a little while ago. Obviously, PSISTORM is actually, I guess these are 2 of the teams who are more established in terms of the StarCraft community. Newbee, PSISTORM, Jin Air, Green Rings, I think are the 3 teams out of the 8 who are very established in the StarCraft community already, whereas the other 5 are teams who are much more kind of teams who have been, I guess, Invictus Gaming as well. And then the other 4 teams are new Chinese teams who have been picking up players just to play in this league, which is really sick, obviously. So, yeah, it's really cool to kind of see that. And I think Newbee's got a lot of fan favorites. I mean, Time is a big fan favorite out in China. Obviously, we've got Scarlett. She has always been a good favorite as well. And I love the fact they've got a Zerg, a Terran, and a Toss. As you see, Scarlett going to change things up already at the start. A +1 melee upgrade. I mean, again, nice large map to play a Ling-heavy, aggressive style. Definitely makes a lot of sense. So getting that +1 melee up and running. Ling speed starting up as well. Evo Chamber going to drop down on the natural. And the 3rd hatchery coming in as well. So getting that set up and ready to go as we see these Zerglings going to start moving through the center. RagnaroK just going to have that faster Ling speed. And there's just a couple of Lings to get some control of the map, see what's going on. Will get an Evo Chamber pretty early for himself. We'll see what he does with this here. Year 0 is that kind of map where, while Ling speed's nice for mobility, sometimes you will maybe even cancel Ling speed and go into a fast +1 and just start a tech up into roaches if you feel safe enough. His Ling speed's going to finish in a few seconds as these Lings arrive. I think with a couple of queens out here, won't see much. So actually decides to go Carapace. Obviously wasn't thinking about cancelling Ling speed. Just going to go Carapace. Now Carapace is obviously a bit of an interesting little scenario because it gives you that sort of setup in towards the Ling Roach potentially, where the Carapace upgrade affects both the Lings and the Roaches, which is obviously a pretty huge deal. As we just do see those couple of Zerglings here from RagnaroK running around. Scarlett trying to get a few Lings after that as well. A couple of Queens coming around. Struggling to deal with this just because of the Ling speed, so obviously RagnaroK has been able to see everything as well. Sees that upgrade, sees the Ling speed still coming through, so is pretty aware that this is just going to be a lot of Ling Bane early. Has seen the Bane nest at the front as well. So good information for RagnaroK as Scarlett will send an attack across the map over to the right-hand side. That Bane nest going to be finishing up in the next few moments. Again, Scarlett continuing over to the right, and just going to be seeing RagnaroK. A few Lings up the ramp. A little bit of back and forth here. 2 more Banelings from Scarlett on the way up, as you do see there's a couple of Banes on the natural expansion as well. This one, Carapace, just over halfway done. And Scarlett will continue to run away back through the center of the map. Seems like RagnaroK has enough to turn this around for the moment, as we do see a lair dropping down from Scarlett up in the natural expansion. So getting that lair up and running. Couple of Queens here setting up as well. Couple of Banes coming forwards, and well, just making sure she's going to have enough to defend. Goes into a Carapace upgrade of her own. I mean, typically this will then lead in towards a Mutalisk style. So setting up towards this now as these Zerglings from RagnaroK going to arrive and going to jump on a few of these Banelings. Not much done just yet, as just going to be seen RagnaroK doesn't actually finish that first Baneling off. Tell you what, they're playing red and Zerglings, red and pink Zerglings. It's really hard to see, even for me. Usually I have no issue with the colors. I actually really do right now, and I actually have no idea what's going on. I think these are RagnaroK Banelings showing up. There's a few Zerglings going onto that Queen. Bane's going to move in towards the mineral line here, and just going to be seeing. Now Scarlett has to split up. 5 drones will go down at the front. Scarlett is defending though, but she's going to lose her third hatchery. So RagnaroK is able to pick up a hatchery, able to get quite a bit done here. And Scarlett having to pull back a little bit, and just going to be still trying to set up into that carapace upgrade. Obviously the +1 melee on the Banes means they will still one-shot the Lings of RagnaroK here. So the melee and the carapace do you a little bit of cancelling out for the moment, but obviously as Scarlett gets a carapace of her own, she'll be a little bit better off here, as we're now going to be seeing those Lings again coming through. RagnaroK with another Baneling on the center, but more Banelings already morphed in on the left side. Scarlett has to be very, very careful of these, as she's got some own Baneling connections of her own. She's actually got up to 45 drones. So if she loses a few more here, she's not going to be in immediate trouble in terms of worker count. Obviously still is rebuilding that third hatch. That's a huge deal, losing the third hatch in the Ling Bane game, because Ling Bane is so reliant on lava. So I mean, that third hatchery really is a big necessity. Let's see these other Zerglings moving across to the left-hand side. RagnaroK backing away down to the bottom. Krigsberg still pushing around as well. And we're just going to see this Lurker Den dropping in on the natural expansion. Zerglings coming through. It's another kill on the third hatchery. That's a huge deal. RagnaroK doing some wonderful stuff here at the moment. I mean, keeping Scarlett down on 2 bases. And RagnaroK is definitely starting to run away with the very first game of the China Team Championship 2019 Season 1. And you see Scarlett pulling up that ramp. Baneling goes down. Scarlett's Baneling showing up. Trying to take that third hatch yet again. I mean, if she gets up to Lurkers, this game obviously gets into a very weird little spot where maybe RagnaroK actually can't do too much more. So, trying to get into this Ling Lurker style. If she gets there again, she's very well, very safe, very well defended. She can drone up off of a much lower unit count. So let's see if she can get there as the Lurker Den halfway done. That's the issue. It takes so long to build that Lurker Den. Then even after that, the Lurkers take a little while to morph in from Hydras too. Hydras are going to be seen here, and actually there's going to be a few overlords these Hydras can get rid of, so that's nice for Scarlett. We'll pick up some kills, we'll get some damage done. So all of those overlords going down. We're just going to be seeing the +2 melee attack upgrade on the Evo chamber as well. A few Zerglings nibbling their way through the rocks. And the +1 missiles also starting up on this Evo chamber on the far right hand side. Layer again about to complete. +2 melee still ticking along. And the Zerglings from Scarlett back in towards the third base. It's going to go in and get a little bit of a surround on this Queen. Just a little bit of damage being done. Queen will fall. And a few roaches showing up. Just going to be able to push those Lings away without too much of a problem. Ling Bane and Hydra will come up towards the upper side. And we're just going to be seeing the Lings fighting through on the top side. And again, those Lurkers going to be finishing up in the next few moments. +1 missile attack and roach speed continuing through as well. It's going to be a Nidus network from RagnaroK. I kind of like it. If there's one thing these Lurkers are bad at, obviously, it's mobility. So if you can jump past the Lurker line, force the Lurkers to move, and then go elsewhere with the Nidus again, there's obviously a lot of potential there for RagnaroK to potentially, shut Scarlett down and just to bypass her defenses. So I like the idea from RagnaroK. Scarlett's about to hit +2 melee. She's got a lot of Lings moving forwards. She obviously didn't kill off all of these overlords before, as they're lingering by into the third base. Her drones will pull together. She's got a couple of Banes on the way over. Queen will be saved. Scarlett going to be able to push that down to the bottom side again. Queen nibbling its way through RagnaroK, dealing just a little bit more damage. And we're taking some shots down to the bottom. More Zerglings out through the center of the map as well. Roaches and Lings here from RagnaroK too. And we're seeing Lurkers continue to press through the bottom side of the map. They're just getting a little bit surrounded. Those Lurkers are going to burrow and just going to be seeing a bunch of these dropping. I mean, this is where the Lurkers are very strong, but obviously we're about to see a Nidus counter, and well, that's actually just a Baneling counter into the mineral line. 9 drones down. If Scarlett can maybe get on top of a base, is there some hope for her? I mean, there's a lot of roaches, but obviously the idea is the Lings are going to keep those roaches off of the Lurkers at least. Just backing away. There's the Nidus network, and this is the mobility that Scarlett's really going to struggle to deal with, I think. As we are going to be seeing the Zerglings coming down to the bottom right hatch. Lurkers will burrow again. Queen taking some hits. Bane's showing up from Scarlett too. I mean, as those roaches are counter-attacking, this really isn't anything for Scarlett back at home. So while she does force these units back, I mean, she has to just go for kind of like a base trade almost. It just isn't pretty. Plus 2 melee Zerglings will jump on a few of those roaches. Move commanding, they will take some damage. Scarlett's starting to jump on these roaches over here. Get those lurkers burrowed. We'll get some shots off on the roaches as well, but we'll have to keep on burrowing them and pushing them further forwards. I'm impressed that Scarlett's cleaned up those roaches back at home. That felt like something that just wasn't going to happen. And now, the roach thrower is actually in some trouble as well. I mean, RagnaroK has units out, but they're just all over the place. He's just not dealing with these lurkers at all as Scarlett pushing up this ramp. A lot more lings coming across the map, but there's the Nidus sending even more roaches out to the other side. Obviously, RagnaroK is starting to be in real trouble over here. A couple of corrosive bowels will connect, and those lurkers will go low because of it. Hatchery under fire. RagnaroK can't really build anything anymore, though. So Scarlett gets a few more units out. There's a possibility of defending in this. Corrosive Bow still dropping. We're going to see, I mean, those Roaches and Ravagers, though, are completely surrounded. So RagnaroK's going to lose this army. Going to lose the natural. It really is just these Roaches across the map, and they're picking off Zerglings as they spawn. But again, RagnaroK just can't build anything else. So he's absolutely stuck with the army that he has. This comes down to a full-on base trade. I think Scarlett actually has the better setup to base trade with lings, with the fact that she's got a 4th base already. She's got more lings still streaming across the map. I actually really like it for Scarlett, as RagnaroK, he was building a roach farm, but that's been killed again. There's nothing left in this main base. A single lurker just going to be burrowed here. Some broodlings will not pop out of an extractor, but they could pop out of other buildings. RagnaroK has a Nidus network across the map, so he does have a structure to help him out in terms of a base trade here. And Scarlett will kill off the Nidus network here. What else does RagnaroK have? He's got 6 drones remaining. Scarlett has 8. We are going to be seeing an extractor here. RagnaroK has a couple of lings there too. This lurker just picking its way through the lair. Roaches down to the low ground. Scarlett still has this base bottom left. She's going to build a spawning pool now. She also built some extra drones. Not really much else she can build. I mean, if she gets the lurkers on top of those roaches again, which she is going to do, she's going to get some shots off. The lings are going to get surrounded as well, and Scarlett is going to make it happen. Wow. Scarlett picks up game number 1 for Newbee. This, as we've got to the bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player, we have got Scarlett. And at the top right-hand side, the red Zerg from PSISTORM Gaming is RagnaroK. Here in game number 2, representing PSISTORM. See if he can bounce back. There's Overlord coming up on each side of the map. Drone on the way out as well. Going to be the hatchery first again, I think, from both of them. It's very strange and not typical to go into like a pool first. If you don't go for like a 12 pool or something. So yeah, just waiting for that hatchery first to drop down. I mean, new repugnancy. Getting this serpent ready to go. It's again another kind of macro-focused map, right? It's another map that's definitely, you got the 3-4 bases that come up fairly easily. The middle of the map is that little bit interesting. I actually kind of like this map for the idea of Ling Lurker. It's a fair rush distance base to base, which is important for Ling Lurker as well. But also it's very choked up in the center and so on. And so I just feel there's a lot of opportunities to get those lurkers into very annoying positions. If Scarlett wants to play that same style, obviously worked quite well for her in game 1 after the opening didn't go so brilliantly. We've seen Hatch, Gas, and Pool getting set up here, as we are going to be having a couple of drones on the way out as well. So getting this ready to roll. Everything just the initial setup now. RagnaroK obviously had a hell of a run during IEM Katowice. One heck of a performance from him. Was rather impressive to see him going all the way through to that round of 12. Unfortunately knocked out by Newbee once he got there, but definitely I feel like one of the first times we've really seen RagnaroK. I mean, we saw him in GSL and Scarlett eliminated him in what, like 5 minutes of gameplay or less. One of the funniest series we've seen in GSL probably in the recent years, because it was actually it was a mess. Very questionable builds, very questionable way of things get going on. So do you see Ling Speed on the way up on each side, and Overlord from RagnaroK through the center? Overlord from RagnaroK on the bottom left-hand side as well, and Scarlett just hanging out with a couple of Overlords on the upper right. As a drone from RagnaroK going to come forwards, get ready to throw down a 3rd hatchery here. Again, a few circlings on the way up and a Bane nest on the way down. A couple of people asking about the format. The format is best of 2. 3 players take on 3 players. So it's best of 2 on each match. So 6 maps are played, and then if needed, there's an ace match. It's just a way of designing the Team League format so that you can get away with teams having 3 players. It means teams don't need a bunch of players. The other way to do it would have been maybe to put out each player twice on different maps, and then obviously maybe you have some different matchups. That would have been quite cool. But yeah, I mean, in general, I think it's, first season to try and go for simplicity in terms of organizing, and that's what they're going for here, as we do see the couple of links from Scarlett backing away up through the top side. Links from RagnaroK going with that link speed. Push on in and chase those other couple of links down there. Link speed kicking in from both. Now, it is Scarlett who's up on the Bane and Nest already. So is RagnaroK, actually. So both of them on the Bane Nest here. As we do see those links continuing in towards the natural expansion. A couple of Banes coming forwards, and we do see the Bane and Scarlett just coming up at the moment. So getting this up and running, I mean, so far so good. Just get a little bit of a cancel there. RagnaroK going for that third hatchery. His Bane's about to show up and wander towards the natural. However, Scarlett has Queens to come and target these down. A couple of Lings to help out. Still going to be 4 Banes into the mineral line, and those drones already pulling away. There's 2 drones. No, the drones are stacked on the other side, and that's 6 more. And the third hatchery goes down, and out of nowhere, RagnaroK just comes across the map with Ling Bane. Looking to try and tie this up for his team here with this great opening. Now this time Scarlett goes into a missile upgrade. She's not really looking to go into Hydra's den, go into Lurkers, and so she's not going to have that comeback mechanism that she had in game number 1 to help her out. So this is getting a little bit funky here, as we're going to be seeing a couple more Banes running up this ramp. RagnaroK deciding where to go with these. Goes into the mineral line. There was a couple of lower health drones, so they did still get splashed down, even though only one Baneling made it in. Queen's targeting down another Baneling there. It's just getting out of hand very quickly, as RagnaroK has so much army supply and Scarlett has so little. Morphing Banelings in on top of Queens is a little bit risky. And it's going to be at least one of them getting cancelled as the Lings run by for even more of these drones. Scarlett is still equal on workers, but obviously if it continues like this, it's not going to be very true for very long. The Banes of Scarlett get taken down pretty effectively too. RagnaroK is still morphing in Banes on the front line. Another Baneling connection, and that's RagnaroK finding himself game number 2. PSISTORM will tie it up against Newbee. We have got the top left-hand side, our blue Protoss player from PSISTORM Gaming. Sakura, Chinese player. Every team must send out a Chinese player on their lineup. So Sakura are going to be the one from PSISTORM that will play pretty much every week. That's why Rex, for example, joined Jin Air Green Wings so they could play in this league. Rex off the time. They have to be from like China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau. There's like a couple different places that are eligible. You have to have a player from that region basically to be able to play it. You have to the bottom right hand side the red product player Dia. What a champ this guy is. Hasn't been in championship winning form for a couple of years, but definitely seems to be back at the game and doing pretty well for himself in general. He's pretty good in GSL and so on. As PSISTORM Sakura in the PvP, I wonder if Sakura can bring out something a little bit wacky here, something a little bit crazy, try and grab a win off of Dia, because obviously I think that the great thing about this for the Chinese players is going into this, like, it's kind of the format that's designed, it's not designed to help them, but I think the format benefits the Chinese players more than it'll benefit the Koreans, because Dia going into this match, I'm pretty sure, doesn't look at this and say, man, I'm going to go and look up Sakura's builds, because where do you go to look up Sakura's builds in recent games and get any information? You just don't. Whereas Sakura can definitely say, okay, well, I'm going to, I know it's PvP, I know I'm playing Dia, and then, make a bit of a plan in my head, and maybe with some well, prepared builds, Sakura can come out as the underdog and take Dia down. That was one of the big things of Pro League back in the day, snipers and preparing builds that were very good against preparing builds that were very good against certain players or the player that you were playing on that map. You have some time to prepare, and that's pretty cool, So just going to be seeing the probe rocking around as this pylon from Sakura finishing up over on the left-hand side. So already getting a little bit wonky here for proxied pylon. 2 stalkers on the way up out of Sakura. Dia will opt for the Adepts and will throw down a Stargate. Now Sakura drops down a Twilight Council here on the left-hand side of the map. And Dia is scouting around. Thing is, Dia sees a lack of a pylon in the main base, or does he actually? Because, you know what? Actually, Sakura's gone for 1 pylon more than needed to sell the idea that this isn't a proxy. Wow, drops the Robo in the main as well. So yeah, Dia actually can't really scout for the usual things that would tell you there's a proxy on the map. So that's a nice little bit of something out of Sakura, as we are going to be seeing a couple of adepts coming forwards in towards the upper left-hand side. Twilight going to finish. I mean, obviously, Dark Shrine is the expected outcome of this Twilight, right? Sakura will be able to build up the pylon block here. What was that? Was that just, I think Dia had a probe trapped in, so yeah, probe trapped in. Didn't actually see the, or maybe the corpse just ran over the side. Anyways, Robo isn't seen, so Dia's still a little bit in the dark now. There's going to be an Oracle on the way out of the Stargate. I'd love to see Sakura just get that shield battery up in the mineral line to help out. There's the Warp Prism being chrono boosted out as well. I mean, while an Oracle is nice, it is some form of detection. It isn't the most reliable form of detection. You need the energy to revelate, and if the DTs are split up, you're going to take, you're going to need multiple revelations. If you can't get up to a Robo facility, Dia could be in some real trouble here. Now, this is quite a lot of adepts, and this is going to be really nice for shutting down these Stalkers. As the Oracle comes over, there are shield batteries coming into the main base mineral line. So the shield battery going to be finishing up in a moment as the Warp Prism coming across the map. Still not seen, by the way. This has a lot of potential, especially because the Oracles are going to potentially use that energy across the map. He does use some of its zapping here. Oh man, probably going to have to recall. As you see the Warp Prism, I don't think Diaz is going to be afraid of the Prism because he's just not expecting this to be Dark Templar at all. Oh man, Robo Facility is on the way up. Sakura's going to be a little bit hard-pressed to actually warp in here though, and that's the biggest problem of all, is we're going to see two DTs warping in initially. Only has 2 warp gates, so it's all he can afford at the moment. Double Oracle will start to get some work and damage done, but obviously so will the Dark Templar, especially if they're able to get that Robo Facility, or just this Pylon to empower it. That works as well. He's going to go straight for the Pylon, a third DT too. I mean, this is where the Oracle's probably, I mean, they don't have energy. They don't even have energy, so it doesn't matter. There's no detection, and there's no Pylon here on the Stargate either, so can't get another Oracle out. So Dia's in a little bit of trouble. Yes, Sakura's lost 14 workers, but these DTs are currently invisible and will not be visible for a long time. Oracle is moving back home. But all you have to do now is Sakura is split up your DTs, and eventually, I mean, there's just not going to be enough revelations. Dia takes his probes down the low ground here, desperately trying to set this up. That Oracle coming in just needs to keep the DT split up as Dia gathering up on the low ground right now. And Sakura is kind of making this work. I love the split of the DTs. Again, that's absolutely what you have to do in this situation. I mean, Adept's going across the map maybe to cause a bit of a base trade, but Sakura should just warp in DT after DT for the moment, I think. Because again, eventually, as long as he can keep warping in DTs, it doesn't matter what else happens, right? As long as DTs are being warped in, you know what as well, the other thing is, like, I mean, what do you do? I mean, if a DT warps in over here to defend these Adepts, it doesn't even matter. These Adepts are going to try to go up the ramp, but it's not working out. And Sakura is absolutely making this happen at the moment. Going into the natural mineral line. I mean, this is troubling. I see one DT still hidden away in the corner. The Adepts turning around, unsuccessful on the other side as well. And Sakura is just rebuilding probes while Dia is not mining. Going to start losing some probes. Hasn't got the money for another Nexus. Has to be careful of those DTs stacking together, although the Oracle doesn't have the energy yet. Actually lost one of the Oracles across the map. That's obviously a pretty big deal for Dia, so it's even less energy he has to revelate. As the Nexus is going down, the other DT comes in. I mean, that's the thing. As Sakura mines more, he can warp in more DTs, and there's absolutely no reason not to. Even as a DT at home in case something gets into the main. This is absolutely going to the game. Sakura takes game number 1 of his match against Dia and puts PSISTORM into the lead against Newbee. To the bottom right-hand side. Fall into the DTs in game 3 of the series. This is Dia representing Newbee. Top left-hand side, our blue cross player is PSISTORM Gaming Sakura. Okay, so setting this up, getting this ready to go, and Sakura able to take a map already. Seeing the first gateways dropping down. I'm really interested to see what Sakura comes out with for another game now, right? I mean, what do you do as Sakura in this position? Because it really is a pretty sick little situation, isn't it? It's a really sick little situation that you've got to be wary of as Dia now. You've got to think, well, what on earth's going on? I've got to be very careful with my scouting. I can't afford to miss anything, because if I lose this, my team's down 3-1, and then, you know, GuMiho only has to win 1 map against time to be able to close out the series. Now, if that does happen, by the way, guys, all of the maps are played anyways. The only map that isn't guaranteed to be played is the ace match. The ace match only gets played if it goes to 3-3. But say Sakura wins here and then GuMiho wins the first game against Time. That will be 4-1. We'll still play the second game of GuMiho versus Time. So it will always be it'll always go to like 6 maps per series, which is awesome as well, because it guarantees us a certain amount of content basically for the day. It guarantees us a certain length of stream, which is always pretty nice to see. Probe coming down to the bottom side. Sakura is off there to perhaps build a pylon once again, although I'd be surprised if Dia wasn't super careful this time around. Might even just open straight into a robo, because the thing about a robo opening is that a robo opening is extremely safe. You know, it doesn't matter what's coming your way, it's never really a bad decision to build a robo. Like, a robo will hold off most things, for the most part. There's a couple of times where it's not optimal, it's not great, and sometimes it doesn't give you a lot of map control and so on, but it really does just keep you in a very safe position. And Stalker Sentry as an opening as well is already going to give Dia hallucination, so you'll have the scouting information available with this Sentry. So that's going to be a pretty big deal as well. And as we are going to be seeing the single purpose Sakura scouting into the main. Not a lot to see. There's the Nexus coming down from Dia. Absolutely think this is going to be a robo facility as the tech choice as well then. As another Sentry comes up, it's just a safe standard expand, right? As we're going to see Dia here. Doesn't quite find that Twilight Council in the bottom left. I wonder, is it going to be DTs again? I feel like if you go DTs again as Sakura, you're really pushing your luck. It's going to be another gateway. It feels something more like Resonating Glaives or Blink, or I think maybe Resonating Glaives. More Adepts being built, so maybe like a bunch of gateways. I mean, there's 4 gates. It's going to be 4 gate Adept. So it's going to be very aggressive here out of Sakura. Hiding away that Twilight Council so the Resonating Glaives is unlikely to be figured out. As we do see the hallucination heading up to the top side. Looking to see what's going to be happening there. Probe hanging out on the top as well. And again, Dia's hallucination just popping through into the main base. We'll look to see what's happening. There's 2 more Adepts coming over, shading through in towards the natural expansion. I'm just going to be seeing that robo facility just over halfway done as well. So continuing along with this right now is a couple Stalkers, a few Sentries continuing to gather together. We do see Sakura. I mean, first 4 Adepts don't really want to commit in too early. 3 more warping in, Glaives on the way out. I mean, obviously plenty of units here from Dia. Good few Stalkers warping in. The shield barrier on the low ground will help as well. So to see what's trying to happen with pylon at the front. I mean, this pylon isn't powered by a gateway, so it is a slow warp in. Again, those 4 Adepts just showing themselves again and again. But I think so. I mean, Dia is obviously very aware of something going on. Has seen no Nexus, for example. Sees the attack number rising up a little bit. These Stalkers going to move down the ramp now. Sentries are going to just, they're going to be in trouble actually. The first Sentry goes down in like an instant connection, but it is kind of half of the Adepts out of here. I think just because the Stalkers were out of position, Sakura just said, yeah, maybe I can just jump on this and get something done. Now the other Sentry goes down, so it's now Adepts versus Stalkers, and in these sort of numbers, the Adepts actually do pretty okay. Stalkers are dying off at the moment, and that Resonating Glaives is definitely helping them. 4 more Adepts warping in as Dia has no energy on the shield battery on the low ground, but is about to get rid of the last couple of Adepts. We'll get rid of 1 more Stalker. 4 more Adepts shading in, but the Immortal's going to be a huge turning point of this. Sakura has an army supply lead, but only until Dia warps in a couple more Stalkers, and 1 more Adept goes down, evening this out. So again, all of these Adepts gathering up together, 9 of them, setting up to perhaps shade in towards this natural expansion once again. Immortal on the way out from Dia as well. Again, they're set up to go. A few more Adepts warping in. On the bottom left-hand side, these couple of gates in the Twilight Council, obviously the hidden part of this build order. Second Immortal on the way out. These Adepts absolutely have to go and jump on this now, I think. Get in here before it gets too further out of hand. They're going to go and commit. I mean, what do? Do you target down the Immortal, or maybe target down the Stalker after you pop the Immortal shields? Then target down the Immortal fast. I mean, Immortals don't even do that much against Adepts. They're just very tanky. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's just a fight you don't usually see. The Adepts are going to shade forwards. The Stalkers are actually going down. The Adept numbers are kind of carrying through for the moment. Shading again, going to be able to jump on these Stalkers. And, I mean, now it's just 1 Immortal. Please pop the barrier on the Immortal, though, because it's just going to help you with kind of time. It's just going to help you in terms of time. Sakura's actually doing this, guys. This Immortal, okay, shield barrier's going to keep it alive for a while, but It's already half health. Finishes this pylon on the high ground. So these adepts are walled off. They can't get into the main base just yet. This Immortal's going to die. Sakura just has so many adepts at the moment, and continuing forwards will take some more damage as he begins to break down this pylon at the front. Sakura is about to get into the main base. More adepts still warping in. We'll just sit on the low ground for the moment and fight with the shade coming towards the Stalkers. He's just going to shade on top of them. The Stalker gets fully surrounded. The shield battery has a tiny little bit of energy left. The Adepts get another Stalker kill. It's just so many Adepts here. Dia's army supply is not high enough. What on earth are we watching? As more Adepts shade into the main base, there's no Immortal production. It's only Stalkers. Stalker after Stalker going down. And Dia is probably thinking, what on earth is China doing on the StarCraft 2 ladder? Nothing I've seen before. PSISTORM Gaming Sakura takes 2 maps in a row, and what an upset we have in the very first series of the China Team Championship. PSISTORM with 2 maps in a row, with Sakura 2-0ing Dia. What is going on? For Dia, on top left-hand side, the Chinese player from Newbee is going to have to do the same just to get an ace match. Has to win 2-0 here, or go 2-0 against GuMiho. His team is down 1-3. This is time. Our blue Terran in the top left-hand corner. And to the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran from PSISTORM Gaming is GuMiho, who just needs 1 map to close out this series. So it's 1 map to close out the series, but 2 maps will be played no matter what. So obviously map score to be kind of gained here. It's actually kind of an interesting scoring system, because I believe the way it actually works is that you score... You get 3 points in the league if you win without going to the ace match. If you win with going to the ace match, it's only 2 points or so. So it's not quite... I mean, map score becomes... Map score kind of becomes important maybe as a determining factor eventually, but there is that sort of info as well that's kind of... it is kind of nice to win before the ace match for that reasoning. Yeah, sorry, I'm still just 100% re-familiarizing myself with the information, because I actually read it quite a while ago. So just double checking. So, yeah, winning before the ace match is pretty important, because it gives you like an extra point in the standings. So that's worth keeping in mind. Which makes sense, because I mean, it's kind of the same as having a better map score as well, right? Because, you know, it basically means that winning 4-1, 4-0, 4-1, 4-2 doesn't have much difference unless there's a tiebreaker. But it's still better than winning 4-3, so it kind of makes sense. Anyways, this early game TVT we do see from both players. I mean, GuMiho is opening up with the expansion now. So Reading Time wants to do the same, but obviously with the Reaper on the low ground, he's a little bit afraid, and he is just going to pick off a scout and SCV there, as there we go. Time will drop the command center as well, but already just a few seconds behind GuMiho, so about 10 seconds behind for a few moments. As we see a Hellion on the way up from GuMiho as well. So getting this set up and ready to go, as Starport will build up in the main base as a supply depot comes up to the top corner. And Reaper will just come through into the natural expansion, picking its way through this SCV. So quite a bit of damage being done. SCV will fall, and the Hellion and a couple of Reapers are going to be able to jump up here, chasing that Reaper of GuMiho down. So GuMiho's Reaper going to get chased away now, as we are going to be seeing 2 more Hellions, 2 Reapers, continuing up to the upper left-hand side. So trying to see what else they can get up to now. Looking to see what else will happen. A couple of Marines on the way through as well. So getting this ready to rumble. Factory going to drop down to Tech Lab. Starport to a Tech Lab as well. Raven on the way out. And just again, units from GuMiho gathering up. Going to start pushing in towards the upper left-hand side here. Widowmine going to go off and just a single Hellion. So nice little split away. I mean, Hellion for Widowmine. It's a factory unit for a factory unit. So it's actually not that bad, as GuMiho will come in and kill this SCV again. The 2 Reapers are timeout on the map and build a tech lab on the factory, so he doesn't have much to really defend here. Time's command center is starting to take quite a lot of damage in this early game. It's spiraling a little bit out of control, as the 2 Reapers here from Time are going to be showing up, coming straight into this mineral line, picking away at some of these SCVs. Grenades bopping some of the workers around. Time doesn't get any kills though. The Cyclone able to kill off one of the Reapers. Units move down to the low ground, but honestly these Hellions and Reapers can probably still fight. A great Reaper grenade. And actually these 2 Reapers and 2 Hellions are still both alive. Or all alive. Wow, nothing dies there. for GuMiho. Well, he does pick off some units. The Reaper coming in. Oh my god, still doesn't get that low health Reaper. And GuMiho is well, still playing a dangerous game. Cyclone lock-on will kill the Reaper now, and GuMiho just going to start backing away. Raven on the way up from GuMiho as well, so that's going to be finishing up in just a few moments. So getting that Raven up and running, getting that set to go, is going to see a couple of supply depots dropping down into the main base. Hellions, Cyclones, Reaper, GuMiho here gathered together and coming out towards the upper left-hand side. So a few units pushing across as we see the Stimpack coming in on this barracks. A couple of barracks building up as well at the moment. Raven on the way out from GuMiho, as we do see he's already got one that's come across the map. Time has a good Raven as well, but is just kind of keeping this in the main base for the moment here. And you see GuMiho up to the top, couple of Hellions, couple of Cyclones. And there's a lot of units, I guess, from GuMiho, and he does have that little advantage from the trades earlier. Maybe if he can shut down that siege tank from firing, there's some potential. He's going to have the second interference matrix ready in a moment, so he could push into 2 tanks, but does he have the damage output to kill 2 tanks? That's what I'm kind of doubting at the moment, and I think GuMiho probably wants to save the Raven for a better push a little bit later on. GuMiho will play mech, 2 more factories finishing up in the main base. So it's going to be setting this up, getting this roll. A couple of Hellions coming out, a couple of Vikings in the main as well, coming off of the starport. And GuMiho is pulling back into the center of the map, so pulling back into the middle here. And Stimpack on the way up, +1 attack on the way up as well. Again, there's a couple of tanks continuing to come on through, and Hellion, Cyclones, all of this gathering up together on the front of the natural. Hellion and the Cyclone here also going to be showing up to see what else can happen. Thank you so much, Blastfly, for the $10 donation. Don't think there's any message attached, but thank you so much for the $10. Really appreciate it. Can we get some love in the chat? Blastfly, thank you so very much. SCV is repairing up these Cyclones now. As you do see on the bottom of barracks, hanging out as well. A few Marines, couple of siege tanks, the Raven from time pushing down to the bottom right-hand side, and we are going to be seeing GuMiho, a couple of Ravens and Vikings hanging out right here. Hellions, Cyclones pressing across, going to be pushing forwards, and again, a couple of tanks and Marines just hanging out to the bottom side. Tanks getting themselves established, and just going to be seeing a scan dropping down as well. Combat shields will start from time up in the main base, and just going to be seeing a few of these tanks on siege and repositioning in a little bit, so moving around, looking to see what's going on. +1 attack on the engineering bay, combat shields as well. And we are going to be seeing again a couple of Cyclones, Hellion, siege tanks gathering together, starting to press forwards. Tanks will fire and will be able to pick off that Hellion. The 2 medivacs down the left going to be locked onto, so the Cyclones immediately locking onto this, and Hellions and tanks coming across. Going to be able to see these tanks going down. These Marines in some trouble as well. Good shutdown by GuMiho, and time is just not getting anything going his way, considering he's meant to be the aggressive player, dropping around. And that's not happening at the moment. Tell you what, this Viking is about to go down. Raven's about to go down. Drop some interference matrices on at least one of the siege tanks as he pushes forwards. That's got high ground vision, so that tank on the high ground goes down. GuMiho also pushing in towards the natural. These armies circumventing each other. I just don't know if there's going to be enough here for time to really keep on pushing through, as we're going to be seeing GuMiho has Vikings to clean up the last few tanks. And GuMiho's army is still just sat here picking its way through the natural expansion, which is about to die. I mean, these SCPs will repair. It's going to be GG. GuMiho has too much. And it's going to be time tapping out, and GuMiho will take the series for PSISTORM Gaming 4-1. Although it's supposed to 7, but it's 4-1 already. Yes, they have already won, but all the maps are played up to the 6 maps. The only map that doesn't get played is the ace match. That's only played if we go into a 3-3 scoreline, and we go from there. As we have to the top left-hand side, a Red Terran player. It is time. Let's see if he can pull one back at least for his team and get them that map score point, a bit of morale for heading into next week's matches. On the bottom right, our blue Terran player. It's PSISTORM Gaming's GuMiho. King's Cove, obviously a very large map, and definitely means the early game should be a little bit more relaxed, especially because there's a ramp up into the natural, etc., compared to Kairos Junction, and that should hopefully mean that time gets off to a bit of a better start, because obviously in that last game, what went wrong for Time was that he really went to a bit of a. I mean, what went wrong for Time? He's just everything went wrong for Time in the early game, so he fell a little bit behind. And once he fell that little bit behind, it was very difficult then for him to start recovering, for him to start figuring out ways back into the game. And I actually kind of feel like in some ways the base trade was probably the better option for him, because he was down a base and down in supply playing against mech. But even the base trade didn't work out. So I feel like he kind of went for his better options. As we are going to be getting this up and running here, factory going to drop down for GuMiho. As we are going to be seeing the Reaper on the way out as well. SCV from Time coming across down to the bottom right hand side. It's time for a little bit of a scout. GuMiho will not scout here. Double gas from both players. Time actually sticking with both gases in. He's actually got a double racks up. So Time with the 2 racks Reaper from home. It is a map with a lot of space around the side here, and if you can overwhelm your opponent, there is some potential to perhaps just straight up win the game with some Reapers. Obviously, it's a bit of a weirder opening though. It will lead into a pretty fast bio follow-up in general, because you'll be able to go into a very fast Tech Lab and Stim Pack. And that's not quite how you usually play TVT, but again, intrigued to see what Time does with it, as we do see the couple of Reapers popping out. His factory will start to drop down now as well. Grenade going to be dropping down. A couple of Reapers from Time coming down to the bottom right-hand side. I mean, so far, obviously, GuMiho doesn't know what's going on really still, right? No scout in the main. He only saw 2 Reapers. This 3rd Reaper was hidden, so GuMiho doesn't quite have that information just yet. As I wonder if Time just goes for like a Reaper Hellion, like complete onslaught. Like just a ton of units and just goes straight across and into his opponent's side of the map. I mean, just tries to win the game with it. Supply depot will finish in a moment, so the supply block won't last all too long. In the end, for the moment, those Reapers just gathering together. And GuMiho goes into a 3rd Hellion, which is definitely good for him defensively. Means that he's not skipping too many units here. The Reapers, though, are going to move out onto the map, and if he gets caught off guard and if he loses these, then that counter-attack from Time becomes very powerful, of course. So has to be a little bit careful about it. As you see the Reapers up the right-hand side of the map for the moment. Again, a couple more Reapers from Time, a Hellion as well. Starport now dropping down. He really is, I mean, he has to go soon because he's making so many more units than GuMiho is. His command center is much later. Reapers hop into the main. It looks as though we'll see, I mean, the racks to the side is going to be spotted, so now GuMiho maybe has a bit better of an idea. And the Reapers will get a couple of kills, but will not get any of the Reapers of Time. So now Time has a Reaper advantage pushing across the map. In fact, he's got the units to fight here against these Hellions. He loses 1 Hellion and a Reaper. Will get a Hellion back. But Time has 14 army supply against 7. GuMiho has a Cyclone about to pop up, but enough Reapers will kill a Cyclone. The Banshee is going to be the bigger threat, but can it clean up in time to defend? Time down by 7 workers, so that's what he kind of needs to kill here as he comes across the map. His own CC will be finished and morphing into an orbital very shortly. Reapers and Hellions gathering up on the 3rd base, getting ready to press through in towards the natural Cyclone. Pulling back up to the top of the ramp, and here we go. Hellions and SCVs going to be clashing as it's just going to be Time picking up 5 workers right away. He's going to find the Cyclone. He's going to jump right on it, but a second Cyclone pops out from GuMiho. Banshee about to be here as well, so might be able to defend. I think the Banshee is obviously going to be the big deal breaker, as we're going to be seeing that popping out any second now. And there'll only be a couple of Reapers to get rid of. We'll be able to pick those off. 5 SCVs going to trade out in terms of army supplies. Means Time is still down in workers, although the armies will be a lot closer together this time around, more so than anything else. It's 2 Hellions and a few Reapers coming down to the bottom right hand side. Liberator as well coming across. There's a few Marines hanging out for GuMiho on the high ground. Banshee at the front turns around, pushes that Hellion away. More mules dropping into the natural expansion. As you see the Reapers hopping up in towards the main base. Supply depot taking some damage. Liberator is going to show up, but there's already a Viking in position to pick this off. So Liberator is going to go down. As you see the Banshee able to pick away at a few of those Reapers as well. A few more SCVs down there. I mean 4 more, but is GuMiho still up quite significantly at this point in the game in terms of, just a few workers here and there. He's obviously killing a lot of units from his opponent as well, so that's also a pretty big deal. As you do see that Raven popping out, and GuMiho really setting himself up for the next stage of this. He adds on extra barracks, so GuMiho will start Stimpack. It will be a bit behind the Stimpack of time. I mean, obviously time in general, moving into the bio will have a bit of a smoother transition because he has got the double racks already, which goes a long way to help out. Cyclone coming over here, a few Marines, tank, Viking gathering up together. Just going to be seeing the Marines picking their way through those rocks. A few more Marines showing up as well, and first one attack and armor. Coming on through, so GuMiho's going to have double upgrades while Time will just have that single engineering bay in play at the moment. 2 medevacs coming up on each side of this. Loading, so Time will try and be aggressive with a little bit of a drop. Cycling from GuMiho comes forwards here, Reaper and Hellion. And pull back to the center with this Cyclone. Coming down on the bottom side, and we're just going to be seeing this. A couple of tanks and Marines from GuMiho signing up at the moment. Marine's going to come forward, picking up a supplies info. So drop from Time, get a little bit of damage done. Obviously nothing too crazy. 2 medevacs coming up to the top side. For a little bit of a counter drop. If he gets up here before this tank sieges, that could be pretty huge for him, but he doesn't have stim yet, so he can't actually just stim on top of that tank, which is a little bit of a frustration. Now he does have the stim, but he doesn't pop it, he just pops it and jumps into the medevacs. Interesting little choice. 1-1 upgrades from GuMiho about to complete, so that's going to be finished up, and again the medevacs coming around the upper right hand side, going to go off to the corner, and again another tank coming over. GuMiho going to escape away over to the right hand side, and again some more tanks, some more Marines gathering together. There's a Raven and a Viking joining the army. GuMiho pushing to the top side. Has a +1 armor upgrade. Is going to be behind on combat shields, so has to be a little bit cautious about that, of course. See the medevacs coming out over in the skies. Again, a few Marines coming forward. Cyclone is going to be able to lock on here. Again, the scan comes down, and just going to be seeing the medevacs. These tanks bring them a bit further forward, puts them in a bit of a weird spot. The tank from Time actually gets some damage done. Actually, armor missile will drop as well. All these Marines going down. Can GuMiho get rid of that tank as well? He can. That means his Marines are going to have a much better time pushing up here, but he still doesn't have combat shields. Marines loading up and going to go over to the right hand side, picking away on a couple of these siege tanks. +2 attack and +2 armor upgrades coming in on the engineering base. Another ramp coming through. Another anti-interference rigs coming down the siege tank. GuMiho just going to have the numbers. He pushes into the natural. That +1 armor helping out quite a bit. And the Marines, obviously the Raven did some good work here as well. And this tank count is just ridiculous in the back. We're going to be seeing the tank sieging up as well. More Marines gathering together. Supply depots being picked away at here. More units showing up. Viking picking away at the medevac now. And medevac is taking a little bit more damage. +2 attack and armor still coming through, and just going to be seeing the Marines tank coming across. Reinforcement from GuMiho looking good, as we're going to be seeing him coming around to the right hand side. Tanks will siege, and just going to be seeing the couple of tanks being shot down. SPVs and Marines going to keep on pressing forwards. We're going to be seeing GuMiho just with the numbers. I mean, Sam's getting a couple of tanks up here and there, but again, he's just not going to have the Marines if he holds out. His third base will be in a lot of trouble. He's already lost 16 SCVs, and that's only going to increase as these Marines move into that mineral line. And he'll slowly just pushing his tanks into better and better positions as well. GG's, and GuMiho takes it